going on, guys? It's Barry here with the Scryguystv. Today we're going to be doing a Rowan Scion of War deck tech. I know I'm late to the party, but I've actually had this deck built ever since spoiler season. I was just like, that is kind of crazy. Let's check out the commander, what I mean by crazy. Rowan Scion of War, 1 black and red legendary creature human wizard. It has menace and has a tap ability. Spells you cast this turn that are black and or red cost X less to cast, where X is the amount of life you lost this turn. Activate only as a sorcery, so no instant shenanigans during other people's turns after you get swung at. It's a 4/2 and it is what I like to call my glass cannon baby. We got a RAM package. Now the RAM package I'm going to show right here are pieces that are hopefully going to get Rowan out on turn 1 at the earliest, turn 2 maybe, most likely. But also, just to make sure, I would like to preface this, that yeah, you could possibly get Rowan out as soon as possible, but you have to make sure that you have something to capitalize on Rowan. Otherwise, you're just kind of throwing her out to the wolves, to spot removal, there's so many things that'll kind of ruin your game plan once Rowan starts to climb up the ranks of the commander tax ladder. 5 to 8, was it 5 to 7? It's gonna start getting rough when you get to 7, just because we don't run a lot of lands here. We are really banking on the situation that Rowan is gonna at least either 1, come down with haste, or survive a full turn, which I think the more people play her or play against her, she might start becoming a target for removal. And then our other package, our other half of the package, are going to be our usual suspects. We got Dark Ritual, Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Backdoor Signet, Talisman of Indulgence, pulling double duty, essentially working as almost like a mana rock that produces 2 mana. Oh, I forgot to also put Arcane Signet in here, but you guys know what's in there. And of course, we can't forget a tapped Mana Vault is probably the most delicious thing in here, because at the beginning of your upkeep, it's at least going to reduce all your red and black spells by 1. Maybe you don't have some of the lands that you need that are going to ping you for damage. That's not going to be down there. So there's always something good about a cost reduction of 1, right? And Mana Vault being one of them, it could really just make the difference in your turn. Let's check out our tutors. Again, the usual. I think, Demonic Tutor, Imperial Soul Grim Tutor, and Vampire Tutor are gonna essentially pull double duty in here, because they're almost gonna act like a ramp spell as well, with the cost reduction of 2, 2, and 3. Demonic Tutor just being the best tutor in the game. Diabolic Intent is a little bit iffy in this game, but one of the best things about Rowan is that once you tap her, that cost reduction is going to stay throughout the whole turn. So if you have to, because we do run very little amount of creatures in this deck, you could sacrifice Rowan to possibly go for your big combo piece or for your big finisher spell. Gamble, well, it's a gamble. So let's check out our enchantments. We're running pretty low on the enchantments, but these enchantments are gonna make Rowan just so much better. Black Market Connections is easily becoming one of my favorite cards ever. 2 in a black enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose 1, and if Rowan is out, you're gonna choose all 3. 1, create a treasure token, lose a life. 2, draw a card, lose 2 life. And then 3, create a 3/2 shapeshifter changeling, and then you lose 3 life. So essentially, you're going to lose at the beginning of your upkeep 6 life, which is going to just mean 6 mana cost reduction. That's a big deal for that. And then Necropotence. Necropotence, 3 black. It's kind of rough for me to add like Phyrexian Arena, because it's 2 black, and it just draws me a card and gives me a mana reduction of 1. But Necropotence can, I try to justify it, but it is 3 black, which sometimes can be a little bit hard. But once it's out and Rowan is out and she's able to tap, pay 10, 20 life, whatever you want, because then that means all your finishers, all your big splashy spells are gonna cost 20 less, and it could be bad though, because necropotents could possibly exile the cards that you want into exile, so you possibly won't have them for that turn. But the theme of this deck is Glass Cannon, go hard or go home. And plus, necropotents is a problem wherever it gets played anyway, right? Because even if you get rid of it, though, that effect is still tagged onto those cards in exile, so you'll still get them regardless. Alright, let's now this, I feel like, is the bread and butter of this whole deck. These lands bring the pain. So we got Ancient Tomb, Barbarian Ring, Cabal Pit, City of Brass, Ifnir Deadlands, Mana Confluence, Mount Doom, Ramunap Ruins, Sulphurous Springs, Tarnished Citadel, Tomb of Urami. I forgot to actually put Blood Crypt in here in this last portion of the section, but Agadim and Scatter Skull are the modal lands from the most recent Zendikar set. And that's going to ping you for 3, but I feel like the best ones are obviously going to be Tarnished Citadel, because it's going to ping you for 3, give you a colored mana. The desert lands are really good in this as well. It's just, when I play this deck, I really churn through my life. I mean, I know it's a resource, but geez. Because if Rowan's not on the field, these just hurt my feelings. Now, I feel like if you're building this deck and you want to go a little bit more of a budget route, Ancient Tomb and Tarnished Citadel are definitely ones that you probably don't need. I think most of the rest of these lands, Mana Confluence is a little bit expensive, and City of Brass is, I believe, in around the $10 to $12 range. But Barbarian Ring, Cabal Pit, the Desert Lands, Mount Doom, Sulphurous Springs, Tomb of Urami, those lands are about, like, they range from the $1 to $5 range, depending where you're at, or depending what kind of, you know, if you want a normal or regular. Those are going to be some lands I would feel like you should leave in the budget portion. Ancient Tomb and Tarnished Citadel. Tarnished Citadels are probably a little bit more attainable. It's around $20. I think Ancient Tomb is around $30 to $40. I know it just had a reprint, so it's a little bit more difficult to do that. But yeah, and then plus some of these lands also have the Barbarian Ring and the Cabal Pit have extra, and the Desert Lands also have extra utility, so that adds to them. But the most important thing about these lands is they come in untapped. And then we also have utility lands. Hall of the Bannerlord, for obvious reasons. You pay through life, your creature now, your Rowan now has haste, and you already have a mana reduction of 3. That's pretty good. Beseiju Shelters All is going to protect your big finisher spells from not getting countered, because, well, nobody, it would suck to go down to like 3 to 4 life and then just have your big finisher spell to get countered. So Beseiju is a pretty important one. Castle of Loch Twain will draw you a card and also deal you a good amount of damage depending on how much lands you have in your hand. So I think that's another one that's you could easily add in.
Protect those, particularly the queen, and we can frustrate him.
We gotta protect the queen, right? So we have our packages right here of protection spells. Deflecting Swat and Bolt Bend, I feel like are the best of the best among these. I do know Johnny Combo Player has a iffy feel towards the Bolt Bend, but our commander is a 4/2, so it is definitely within that threshold. Imps Mischief and Tibble's Imps Mischief is kind of pulling double duty on here, just because if it is your turn, it's going to counter a target spell, and you get to also lose that life, so you possibly get a mana reduction from that when you cast in that spell. Tibble's Trickery is just, I feel like, the best red counter spell. I mean, sometimes they flip into something even nuttier or even worse for that situation, so all you can really do is hope that you're going to be able to mitigate that by winning this turn. And then we have our usual suspects with Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast being able to destroy that pesky Ristic Study, or I don't know what else is, like, I guess the new Blue Virtue is an issue, I don't know. But also just to protect us from counter spells or Psych Rifts and anything like that. Definitely gotta have those. Sometimes it's a dead card if you're in a table with no red, and so hopefully it's just free discard fodder for other things. I just need one more turn. How many times have we said, if only I had one more turn, or if only it got back to one more turn? Now you don't have that issue with Warriors Oath and Last Chance. I feel like these are also pretty budget. They go from like, I believe $3 to $5, and maybe you're so out of this game that maybe you just like, I'm gonna lose, so I'm just gonna take an extra turn and just die in my and then pass. But yeah, sometimes you just need one more extra turn. So I think these are pretty viable pieces to put in there, just because, you know, maybe you get Rowan now and you're like, oh, I just need her to untap. Everyone's tapped out, so you're like, all right, let's go, let's try it out, let's risk it for the biscuit. So yeah, and then these are all within budget. So it's time to explode. Now these are going to be our big spells. Treasonous Ogre. We can go ahead and pay as much life for at least as much red mana, and then just go for all that huge discount on our spells. We have Dockside Extortionist because it's Dockside Extortionist. I don't think I have to explain that, but we do have cards like Scion have to give us 2 Dockside Extortionists, so it can get nutty. Obviously we also have Imperial Recruiter to go and get fetch us our Dockside. So, and then we have Storm Killing Artist. I know some people are like, it's a little iffy, but this deck does have a good amount of spells, and sometimes you're just like, I need more mana, so you're casting spells just to create more treasures, and that really helps us out into possibly winning the game the turn it comes down. And then we have these are our big explosion cards. Peer into the Abyss, Commune with Lava, which is gonna get us a bunch of cards. I mean, Peer into the Abyss is gonna lose us a whole bunch of life, and so if you haven't tapped Rowan, or if you have tapped Rowan, hopefully you run into one of our untappers to possibly give us a bigger reduction. Commune with Lava, the best thing about that is it actually gives us, let me actually go back one. It gives us until our next turn to play those cards. So if we play when we play them on our turn, boom, we have until next turn to really utilize that. Hopefully we'll still have Rowan around to really help us play out that turn, but worst case scenario, we don't, and we could still at least have a good decent amount of hand. Jessica's Will, because it's Jessica's Will, especially when we have cards on our next slide right here. Mizzix's Mastery, Mizzix's Mastery and Yawgmoth's Will is going to get us into our Jessica's Will one more time. Maybe we just need a little bit more red mana. Adnaz is a little bit of a weird fit into here, because one, you want to Adnaz for 2. And I have, so I have been able to add Nas for 2. I'd lose a whole bunch of life. Hopefully I run into my one untapped spell in here and to be able to get another cost reduction on here. But at instant speed too, you can just add Nas on someone's turn, lose a whole bunch of life, and hopefully you get into the pieces that you really need. Yawgmoth's Will is Yawgmoth's Will. I don't think that really needs explanation, but sometimes that's going to get us into our other permanent spells that we had to sack, whether it be Lotus Petal, maybe Jeweled Lotus, just to really just to be able to get just to be able to get Rowan back out into the field. Maybe we get Yawgmoth's Will for Dockside. There's a lot there, and it's just another piece that you need. Wheel of Fortune and Wheel of Misfortune is probably going to be one of my favorite wheel for this one, just because you write down your little secret number. Hopefully you're at a high enough life total to gamble. You're like, all right, cool, 25 life. And then you get a 25 life reduction, and you get a full new hand. Now I know sometimes that is kind of rough if there's a Smothering Tithe, or a blue player just got to refill his hand, but hopefully that turn you're gonna win. But all this is like the cards that are have really saved me and it helped me explode the game into winning. Just a little push. Claim the Firstborn is going to be the spell I was talking about. I don't have too many untappers in here, just because before I did, I had 1,000-Year Elixir and Mage Right Stone, I believe. And I kind of was like, I didn't need it at certain points, or it's just like I had already lost enough life. The first tap was enough, and it's very situational. But Claim the Firstborn is good because it triggers the Storm Killing Artist. It gives my commander haste. It's just a lot. Or if it's tapped, I can untap her. So, you know, I've peered into the Abyss turn 3 before and gotten to this to re-tap my commander and then just really go off. Burnt Offering is another good one. This is in the same situation where I got to peer into the Abyss, I think turn 3. You know, I had tapped Rowan, had a 4 or 5 life reduction or mana reduction. Did that, peer into the Abyss, got Rowan back out, and just was able to win that turn. I mean, it was a long, lengthy turn, but at some point, my tail was like, all right, I think he won. But yeah, because sometimes you're going to need the extra colors, and Burnt Offering is gonna exactly give you that.
In my sights, boss.
In my sights. This is our piece for spot removal. The best ones being Vendetta, Fire Covenant, and Snuff Out. This because it's also gonna give you a mana reduction for your spells. Deadly Rollick because, well, it's free. It's Deadly Rollick, right? Fire Covenant is probably one of my favorite ones just because you could really clear off a board if there's a tiny amount of creatures that are out there. And then Snuff Out is just free. So Snuff Out is worse Deadly Rollick because you take the life, but in this situation, it's better than Deadly Rollick. And then we have Chaos Warp and Feed the Storm. I kind of struggle between these two just because Chaos Warp does get rid of a lot of things, and then more than likely they just run into either a land or an instant and sorcery that they can't put onto the battlefield. And Feed the Swarm is good because it's a mana reduction. It's a mana reduction on my turn, so you go ahead and get rid of Apex Devastator. Now you have a mana reduction of, I believe 10. So I kind of flip in between these two. I kind of have them interchanged. I think right now in my Arc deck, I have Feed the Swarm on my sideboard. So yeah, this is my little spot removal package. Clear the way. Sometimes Rowan doesn't get to stay on the field, and well, people know that your life is your resource. So I got Blasphemous Act and Toxic Deluge in here. Yeah, nothing. I don't know.
What else is there to say?
I don't know if there's much to say about that, right?
Finish them off.
And then these are our big finishers: Crackle with Power, Surprise Surprise, Exsanguinate, and Torment of Hellfire. This is like really your big payoff for this deck. This is what you kind of try to reach to. Exsanguinate sometimes might not get you the win, but it'll get you really close. Crackle with Power is, well, ridiculous, and then Torment of Hellfire has been just a menace ever since it got released, right? I think, and this is not in my deck, but it probably should be, and it would really push it over the edge to be in CEDH territory. Underworld Breach and Lion's Eye Diamond. It's just I churned through my deck so much that it would really make sense for me to put these cards into my deck, and that way I could win 100 times faster if I get them out. I'm not saying that like it's like, oh yeah, it's over once these two are on, because obviously my graveyard would have to be filled enough to really take advantage of Underworld Breach and all that stuff. So yeah, if you go on, this is just like the highlights of the deck that I have. If you want to go and check out the real list or the full list, I'll put the Arc deck right into the description so you guys can check that out. Leave comments, like let me know what I can change, or let me know what you guys would add. If you guys want me to build a budget version, I was thinking about building a budget creature version of this, just because I know people are like, where's Painter Servant? That should be in there, but this one is just really Rakdos Spell Slinger. But yeah, make sure to give us a like, comment, please. Like, let us know what else we can do for you guys, what kind of videos you guys want to see in the future. I definitely have time now. All right, guys, have a good day.